Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show.
Kyoto, on the bustling streets, the weather is 38 degrees, and the sun is scorching the earth like a furnace, which makes people feel irritable. Chen Qian stood at the intersection wearing a cheap suit, and did not dare to take off his clothes even though he was sweating profusely. Because this is the company's policy, you must dress decently and neatly. He knew that his supervisor was in a car on the street and would look at him from time to time. If he was passive and slow in his work, he would probably lose his only job. Even though this is just a sales job, this is Kyoto, and this job is the only way for him to establish himself without any academic qualifications or skills. Thinking of this, Chen Qian quickly opened the briefcase he carried with him, preparing to take out the flyers and start working this afternoon. At this time, a young and beautiful girl walked over, and Chen Qian quickly chased after her. "Hello, beauty." The moment the girl who was stopped turned around and saw Chen Qian, a hint of surprise flashed in her eyes. A tall nose, three-dimensional and delicate facial features like a knife. So handsome. But then he saw the sales badge hanging on Chen Qian's chest, and he immediately realized why the other party stopped him. He glanced at the cheap wrinkled suit again, and forced a stylized smile. No exercise, no lessons, no insurance, no need for beauty treatments. I just learned to dance, thank you. Hello, we are BE Auto. Before Chen Qian finished speaking, the girl frowned with boredom on her face. No, are you unable to understand people? Or are you not trying to sell something, but actually want to strike up a conversation? Look at how poor you are. Can you please stop talking to me? After saying that, the girl quickly walked away without looking back. Chen Qian looked at her back and opened his mouth, but couldn't say anything. In the end, I could only laugh to myself. He has experienced similar scenes many times, but I can never let it go. The next moment, he felt that the world in front of him was spinning rapidly, and his head was getting more and more dizzy. Then he fell to the ground with a plop and completely lost consciousness. It's not good. Someone has a heat stroke. Following a shout, a large number of passers-by gathered around. A middle-aged woman walked through the crowd and knelt down, skillfully probed Chen Qian's nose, shook her head and sighed. It's too late. He died suddenly. Come on, let's look at this question with me. It is known that the function f x equals 2x, 1 plus x and the point 3 is on the curve y equals f x. If the straight line y equals x, 7, there are exactly two intersection points B and C with the straight line y equals f x, then find the value range of the ordinate of point Actually we can. Suddenly, a scream attracted everyone's attention and interrupted the voice of the bald middle-aged man on the podium. Chen Qian. Wang Jingguo roared angrily and slapped the podium, scaring the students in the front row. Chen Qian raised his head in confusion when he heard the sound and saw the familiar yet unfamiliar face in front of him. Then he looked around, looking at the classroom that had appeared so many times in his dreams, and he was stunned. Old Wang. How is this going? Where am I now? Am I not handing out flyers on the road to promote sales? However, Wang Jingguo didn't give him time to react. A piece of chalk flew and hit him between the eyebrows, interrupting his thoughts. What's wrong with you, kid? You fell asleep in class again. This is the first time today. Call your parents here tomorrow. Now stand outside in the corridor. Call the parents. Chen Qian shuddered, and the fear engraved in his bones was recalled at this moment. After Wang Jingguo finished speaking, he ignored Chen Qian and continued to talk on his own. Chen Qian was stunned for a while. He didn't know how he came to the corridor. He just looked at the familiar scenery in front of him and the familiar campus outside the corridor, and couldn't help but burst into tears. I'm back. I'm really back. I'm back to my senior year in high school, back to 2016. Next to class 7, there was also a familiar figure standing outside the corridor. To say that they are familiar, it's not that they are very familiar, it's just that we often stand in the corridor. We are brothers and sisters. After seeing each other more, we will become somewhat familiar. At this time, the boy couldn't help but feel a little strange when he saw Chen Qian's excitement and red eyes. What's wrong with this kid? I just winked at him without even responding, so why did I look like I was crying? No, it's too low. Chen Qian didn't know what the boy was thinking, but now he had managed to calm down. Although rebirth was unbelievable, the fact was right in front of him, and he gradually got used to it. Glancing at the boy at the door of class 7, a few memories began to appear in my mind. Chen Qian remembered that the other person's name seemed to be Li Yong, like himself before his rebirth. He was an ignorant guy who lived in a muddle-headed way, but the difference is that he is simply not interested in studying, while Li Yong is a severely internet-addicted teenager who stays up late, playing games every night and catches up on sleep in class during the day. Later, I seem to have accidentally heard someone mention that Li Yong went to a junior college, with a score of over 200 points. After graduation, he could not find a job and could only make ends meet at the construction site. Chen Qian subconsciously clenched his fists. In my previous life, I also had a college degree and no skills. I couldn't find any serious job in my hometown, Qingli City, a small county. Even if I did, it would have been hired by others through connections. Unwilling to do so, he had no choice but to leave Kyoto. Hoping to make a career in the world, he naively thought that academic qualifications were of no use. However, the facts told him that academic qualifications are really useful. At least it can give you more choices. Chen Qian took a deep breath and became more determined in his heart. Since God allowed him to live another life, he must live a different life this time. Never go down the same old path again, even if it's just to see the heartfelt smiles on your parents' faces a few more times. You must study hard and become their pride. Correct. What day is it now? Chen Qian suddenly woke up and looked through the window at the blackboard at the back of the classroom. It clearly said, "There are still 62 days until the college entrance examination." Suddenly, his heart skipped a beat. 62 days. 62 days is enough for what? Even if I want to study hard in such a short time, it is already too late. Do you want to re-study? But when I think about my family situation and the high cost of repeating studies, Chen Qian's face was filled with distress. Not for the money, but for the fact that his parents were exhausted from all their hard work. Today, he is no longer the ignorant young man he was back then. The technology deduction system is being bound. Do you still remember your childhood dream? Please answer within 30 seconds. If you answer incorrectly, the system will be destroyed. Countdown, 30.29.28.27. The sudden mechanical sound in his mind made Chen Qian's jaw drop. What the hell? Technology deduction system. Childhood dream. What the hell is this? Chen Qian once thought he was hallucinating, but looking at the countdown on the silver transparent interface in front of him, he rubbed his eyes. It's true. At this moment, many years of master-level online writing experience are rippling in my heart like ocean waves. Chen Qian quickly accepted the existence of the system. After all, rebirth has happened. Multiple systems. It seems acceptable, right? A childhood dream. Chen Qian muttered to himself. Damn it, who these days can remember their dreams as a kid? Unless he wasn't a kid at that time. Chen Qian tried hard to recall, and the long-lost memories quietly opened up. Leaning in the warm embrace, the gentle girl asked softly, "Son, what do you want to do when you grow up?" The young voice sounded firmly, "I want to be a scientist." The female voice became gentler, "Your son is great, your mother will always support you." Chen Qian was stunned. When did he forget his childhood dream? Since when did you stop studying hard? But looking at the countdown that kept passing in front of him, he didn't dwell too much, and said tentatively, "I want to be a scientist." The answer is correct. The system is being bound. Please wait. When he heard that the answer was correct, Chen Qian breathed a sigh of relief and felt relieved. The technology deduction system is successfully bound. The basic knowledge reserve module has been opened. When the basic knowledge reserve is completed, subsequent functions will be opened. Basic knowledge reserve. What does it mean? Chen Qian was confused, but no matter how he asked, there was no response from the system, as if the previous voice was just a preset program. Jingle bell bell bell. When the bell rang, Wang Jingguo walked out of the class door and glared at Chen Qian, who was in a daze. "Why are you dazed? Come with me." "Oh." Chen Qian responded and followed him into the teacher's office with his head lowered. Wang Jingguo returned to his seat and sat down, sighing imperceptibly, and then his expression changed and he started scolding. "What's wrong with you? You fell asleep in class again. Don't you know there are only a few days until the college entrance examination? Do you have time to sleep? Do you have time to waste? Why don't you know how to work harder? Your grades in junior high school weren't that bad. Why are you like this now?" Listening to the familiar scolding, Chen Qian subconsciously smiled. Lao Wang's temper is still so hot. It's great. I miss him so much. Laughing. You are still laughing. Have you turned a deaf ear to what I said? Very good. Originally, I thought of giving you a chance and just calling your parents. Now I tell you, if your parents don't come tomorrow morning, I will go to your house in person. Chen Qian also realized that there was something wrong with his smile, and quickly begged for mercy. Hold on, no. Teacher Wang, I really know that I was wrong. I promise you that I will study hard in the future and never sleep for even 1 minute in class again. Real. However, Wang Jinggo's expression was serious and unwavering. As a class teacher, he knew Chen Qian very well. You want to call him stupid, but Chen Qian's grades can be considered middle class. You call him bad. He has never done anything out of the ordinary. He is just too handsome, and there are always little girls sending love letters to him. But this kid just doesn't like studying. He even thinks that studying is useless, and has no interest in studying. He had heard Chen Qian say it so many times that he promised to study hard, and he would forget it every time he left the office door. Now here we go again. Okay, ask yourself, how many times have you said this to yourself? Do you believe it? Remember to call your parents here tomorrow morning. That's all. Chen Qian smiled coquettishly, turned around and walked out of the office without saying anything else. He knows that no one will believe in himself before taking actual actions and proving himself. What I should do most now is study hard, learn from death. When the results come up, Lao Wang will naturally believe what he said today. Don't worry, old Wang, I won't let you down, Chen Qian thought to himself. Although Wang Jingguo had a hot temper, Chen Qian knew very well that it was all just an act. In fact, he is really responsible for every student. No matter how bad his grades are, he will not give up even at the last moment. This is also the reason why Chen Qian never did anything out of the ordinary in school and only slept occasionally. But he was still targeted and punished to stand. Even for the penalty stand, he had to stand in front of the window to ensure that he could hear and see the content of the class. In the office, Wang Jingguo pinched his eyebrows helplessly. Lao Wang, is that kid acting stupid again? The physics teacher came over and asked, isn't that right? He's sleeping in class again. I really hope he can go to a good university and have a good future in the future. The physics teacher shook his head. In my opinion, you should give up. There are only more than 60 days left for the college entrance examination. This guy Chen Qian has stable grades and is in the bottom 10 of the class. His performance depends entirely on luck. What else can you do? At this time, the biology teacher on the side also came over. As teachers, we just have to work hard and have a clear conscience. We also understand your persistence, but this kid Chen Qian, hey, he really doesn't want to learn. This is the most difficult thing. Yes, we teachers are not afraid of students being stupid, but we are afraid that they will not want to learn. The chemistry teacher also echoed. Wang Jingguo leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes, as if he didn't want to listen to them. The teachers smiled awkwardly upon seeing this, and without saying anything else, they all returned to their workstations. After a long time, Wang Jingguo opened his eyes and turned around to correct the student's homework. As long as you are my student, Wang Jingguo, I will never give up. In the classroom, Chen Qian returned to his last row, the golden VIP booth next to the trash can. As we all know, where there are crouching dragons, there must be phoenix chicks. As soon as he sat down, his deskmate Jiang Chun stretched his head over. Old Wang scolded you again. You deserve it. Your voice almost sent me away before. It scared me to death. Chen Qian looked at this familiar big face and felt a little nostalgic. Jiang Chun is his only best friend. He has good features and is a little fat but not very fat. He just has a very big face. Jiang Chun's family worked in engineering and had some wealth, but later they heard that their family seemed to be in trouble and the family moved away. The two gradually lost contact and disappeared from the Weshit friend list. As for why he is said to be his only best friend, never underestimate how repulsive boys are to handsome guys. Readers who are so handsome and beautiful should be deeply impressed by this, especially at this young and budding age. I will never call you when I go out to play, and I will never call you if there is a girl. I would even like to stand far away from you, but it's understandable. After all, people of this age will look back and be embarrassed about the stupid things they have done, especially those gangsters at this age. If you look at them even more, you may get beaten up. You will never understand their IQ and brain circuits. I can only say that those stupid novels I have read do not deceive me. Chen Qian put away his thoughts, smiled and patted Jiang Chun on the shoulder. Fat, Lao Wang scolded me. Do you know that he cares about me? I can tell you that I will study hard from today on. Don't disturb me in class from now on. Jiang Chun seemed to have heard something terrible, and his eyes widened. Could it be daughter you little M? When Lao Wang scolds you, you still enjoy it like this. Okay, Chen Daodong, I didn't expect you to be such an elegant person. Study hard. Don't worry, I won't disturb you. He knows Chen Qian too well. Study. It's good if it lasts 3 minutes. Chen Qian was stunned for a moment, and he swallowed back all the curse words he originally wanted to say. Yes, I am Chen Dondun. Why did I become like that after entering society? Of course, it's this one, not that one. Jingle bell bell bell. When the class bell rang, Chen Qian stopped arguing with Jiang Chun. He looked at the Chinese teacher, who walked in and silently took out a brand new Chinese book. Attend class. Stand up. Hello teacher. Sitting back in his seat, Chen Qian stood with his book and was wondering. It wasn't that he wasn't paying attention to the lecture, but that he was currently studying the system in his mind. He still doesn't know what the so-called Basic Knowledge Reserve module is used for, but since the name of the system is called the Technology Deduction System, it stands to reason that it should be helpful to him. The evening self-study was over soon, and Chen Qian was still confused. Seeing Jiang Chun, who had already packed his things, he could only get up and leave the classroom. Do you need my e-mule to take you home? Jiang Chun rolled out his electric car and drifted in front of Chen Qian and asked. Chen Qian shook his head. No, you go first. I'll go too. Jiang Chun turned the throttle to the bottom instantly, and flew away at a speed of 20 yards. Chen Qian smiled helplessly when he saw the scene, and then strode towards home. He actually has his own vehicle, a dilapidated old-fashioned mountain bike, but in his last life he was too proud to ride it to school, so his mother's good intentions were in vain. Although he didn't say anything like, "This bike is too old-fashioned, my classmates all ride electric bikes. Who rides such a broken thing these days?" But he really thought so in his heart, so he didn't hide his rejection. Thinking of this, Chen Qian couldn't help but speed up his pace a lot, and hurriedly ran towards home. My mother at that time, it must be sad. 10 minutes later, Chen Qian opened the rusty door. "My son is back." A familiar voice came, and Chen Qian walked into the small kitchen blankly, looking at the busy figure. His eyes instantly turned red. "Mom," Chen Qian responded and hugged his mother from behind. "I'm back." Mother Chen was stunned, and her vegetable-cutting hands trembled imperceptibly. She wanted to turn around and look at her son, but she was hugged tightly. "You've grown up and you still can't live without your mother. Go, go, don't interrupt my cooking, we can eat later." Chen Qian, who was hiding behind his mother, had a bright smile on his face. He squeezed the hula hoop on her belly with his hand, and ran towards the living room as if he was running away. "I'll go too." Mother Chen looked at her son's back with an uncontrollable smile on her face. This boy. Chen Qian returned to his room, and lay on the bed, his face full of happiness. He suddenly discovered that his mentality seemed to be much younger after his rebirth, although he was only 27 years old before his rebirth. But when he thought of his mother, who was busy in the kitchen, his mood sank again. His mother, Li Qingmai, is a particularly good person, and is also known as a good old lady with a soft heart. Because of this, when working in a supermarket, I can't see others working hard, so I will take the initiative to do more. As time went by, everyone else understood that most of the tasks such as ordering, inventory, checking dates, etc. fell on her tacitly, but she never complained. In the last life, my mother was too tired from work, and she always found time to go out and do odd jobs to support the family. Later, a year before Chen Qian was reborn, he lay on the dining table at home and fell asleep, and never got up again. As for my father, he was also full of ailments. Although they were not serious illnesses, he had fainted several times at work. Although the doctor didn't say it clearly, Chen Qian knew in his heart that if he continued like this, his father would probably die early. Some people, even if they are just alive, have already tried their best. In this life, I must let you live a good life. Chen Qian suddenly sat up from the bed, sat down at the desk, and called up the system interface. But except for the words, "Basic Knowledge Reserve," there is absolutely nothing else on the interface. Chen Qian looked at the words on the system and was stunned. After a long time, he suddenly had an idea. "Knowledge reserve. Could it be that you want me to memorize knowledge into my brain? But what about the knowledge that you already know, and have already memorized in your mind?" Chen Qian had some guesses in his mind, but no matter what, he still wanted to give it a try. Immediately, he opened the Chinese textbook. Well, neither. The next moment he closed the book again, and found the dusty first-grade Chinese language book from the corner. "Did you take notes?" "Not bad, not bad." Chen Qian praised himself and turned the book to the ancient poem, Ode to the Goose. "It's an experiment anyway. It doesn't matter which book you use, and if your idea is right." Chen Qian closed his eyes, and memorized it silently in his heart. He naturally knew the poem, Ode to the Goose, and it was impossible that he couldn't. As he recited it in his mind, a familiar mechanical sound suddenly sounded. "Knowledge entry in progress. Entry completed. It is as expected." Chen Qian opened his eyes in surprise and was excited to see the additional words, Ode to the Goose, on the system interface. It turns out that although I have memorized the knowledge in my mind, it has not yet been included in the system. As for the content that I have not memorized, I think I have to memorize it before typing it in. However, the function of the system goes far beyond that. Chen Qian could clearly feel that after entering the system, his memory of singing the goose was extremely clear, and he even doubted that he would never forget it. This surprised him. In the past, it would have been impossible to memorize the book, even in this life, but now Chen Qian is full of motivation. Whether it's for himself or his family, he will do his best. Looking at the system interface in front of him, he was suddenly full of expectations for the future. What is technology? Technology is the primary productive force. It's money. As for more lofty things, he has neither the heart nor the right to think about them now. Next, Chen Qian started a crazy input operation. After all, he had memorized all the content in elementary school, and the content was very simple. It was a piece of cake to input it into the system. Time passed quickly with concentration, and soon the sound of mother shouting for dinner was heard outside the door. Chen Qian came to his senses, and was about to get up, and walk out of the room when he suddenly thought of a question. I seem to have been called a parent. In the living room, orange lights shine on the dining table. Father Chen had just arrived home not long ago. Although his face was full of exhaustion, he still asked Mother Chen to sit down and he was busy filling the meal. Seeing Chen Qian come out, a smile appeared on his face. My son is out, please sit down and eat. Chen Qian's family always eats dinner after he has finished his evening self-study. On the one hand, although eating at school is not expensive, it cannot be said to be cheap. It is not as affordable as buying things from the supermarket at low prices and cooking them yourself, so it is not that fresh. On the other hand, Chen's mother works in the afternoon shift at the supermarket. Not long after get off work, it's time for Chen Qian to get off from school, and Chen's father gets off work from the factory at about the same time. Chen Qian looked at the smile on his father's face, and felt a little confused for no reason. He sat down at the dining table without saying a word. Although he hasn't been beaten since he entered high school, his childhood was also very complete. In the past, every time he said he would call his parents, looking at his father's patience, he doubted that he would be able to endure it a few more times. Chen Qian looked at his parents with some anxiety. A wise son is like a father. As soon as Chen Qian raised his butt, Father Chen knew what he was going to do. He immediately put down his bowls and chopsticks and looked at Chen Qian, his expression becoming serious. What's wrong? What happened at school again? Chen Qian didn't dare to look into his father's eyes. To be honest, even if he was beaten, he would not react like this. He felt more like being called a parent again, and was afraid of seeing the disappointment flashing in his parents' eyes. Well, Chen Qian's voice lowered unconsciously. Teacher Wang asked you to go there tomorrow morning. Speaking of this, his speaking speed suddenly increased, but he was full of determination. I know I may disappoint you again this time, but please believe me, this is the last time. I will study hard and get into a good university. The expected caring scolding did not sound. On the contrary, the atmosphere in the living room fell into silence. After a long time, Father Chen broke the silence. I understand. Let's eat and get some rest early. Your mother and I will go there tomorrow. Chen Qian nodded and said nothing more. The dinner was tasteless, and even the excitement of having just figured out how to use the system was extinguished at this moment. After the meal, Chen Qian returned to the room, picked up the book and continued to recite. There is no point in talking more. He wants to prove himself with actions. He wants to turn his parents' disappointment hundreds or thousands of times into pride. Early the next morning, Chen Qian yawned and got up to wash up. Last night, he was unable to fall asleep until 2 o'clock in the morning after he endorsed the book. Looking at the breakfast that was still warm on the dining table, he ate it in a few times, then went downstairs and opened the warehouse at home. Their family lived in a former workers' dormitory. Each household in this old dormitory was equipped with a small and broken warehouse. It is said to be a warehouse, but it is actually a small room of a few square meters, set up outside to store waste products. Chen Qian found the old bicycle, tried it out, and found no problem, then rode it quickly towards school. Kingli City No. 2 Middle School, High School Department. The sound of reading resounded from every classroom. Class 8, Grade 3. Chen Qian looked through the primary school Chinese books. He brought and recited them without any distractions. He didn't even miss the annotations and analysis. Regarding the entry of knowledge, he made his own plan after thinking about it last night. He wanted to cover every subject from elementary school to junior high school, lay a solid foundation and finally tackle high school content to prepare for the college entrance examination. Chen Qian's first choice was Chinese, because he majored in science, and Chinese required the most memorization and was the hardest nut to crack. As for whether he can complete his plan, Chen Qian is still somewhat sure. First of all, he will make absolute efforts, and secondly, he was surprised to find last night that his memory seems to have improved. To be precise, my ability to memorize knowledge has improved. What used to take half an hour to memorize can now be remembered and successfully entered in a few minutes. The reason why it is said that the memory of knowledge has improved is because he tried to write down and enter the love movies of those old wet people, but he couldn't do it. Pity. At this time, Jiang Chun on the side took advantage of the cover of the book and put his hands on his crotch, enjoying himself. After an unknown amount of time, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. It's strange. Why didn't Chan Naotong bother him playing with his mobile phone today? Thinking of this, he turned to look at Chen Qian. Damn it, you are actually reading a book. But when he saw clearly that it was a primary school Chinese textbook, he almost laughed like a pig and could only cover his mouth with his hands, holding it in while his face turned red. Gan, as expected of me. Brother, I thought you were really going to study, but I didn't expect you were reading primary school Chinese. Why are you having so much fun? No, I can't hold it in anymore. Ha 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 ha. However, Chen Qian just glanced at him lightly and patted his shoulder. Fat, Stop talking about me. You have to work hard. The college entrance examination is about to take place. I hope we can go to the same city. Jiang Chun originally wanted to joke a few more words, but when he saw Chen Qian's sincere eyes, he suddenly lost interest and couldn't say anything. My grades are mid-range after all. Okay, it's probably because you got admitted to the city where I am. Jiang Chun muttered, turned his head angrily and wanted to continue playing with his phone, but he always felt that playing was not as enjoyable as before. Damn it, Walong has learned a lot. How can you let me, a little phoenix, handle herself? Gan, I'll learn too. Chen Qian watched Jiang Chun put down his phone, nodded with satisfaction, and then continued to be immersed in the joy of endorsing hard work. This kind of positive feedback that is constantly given as you work hard is really addictive. After an unknown amount of time, Jiang Chun poked Chen Qian's arm. Hey, are you really being called a parent again? It seemed like an uncle or aunt came over just now. Chen Qian was stunned for a moment. He was too focused just now and didn't notice what was going on outside. So he got up and went to the back door to take a look. I saw my parents greeting Wang Jingguo at the door of the office. Father Chen smiled and extended his right hand. Hello, Teacher Wang. We meet again. I am Chen Qian's father, Chen Jian. Mother Chen also nodded. I am Li Qingmai. Wang Jingguo welcomed the two of them into the office enthusiastically. He wanted to say that they were old friends, and no introduction was needed, but it felt inappropriate. After all, the reason why we became old friends was because we called our parents too many times. Chen Qian watched his parents walk into the office, feeling a little depressed. The apron my mother is wearing. That's when she went to do odd jobs again. Suppressing the thoughts in his heart, he returned to his seat and read a book, but he was much more serious than before. Seeing Chen Qian's bad mood, Jiang Chun didn't say much and just read and studied silently until the school bell was about to ring. Chen Qian's parents walked out of the office and called Chen Qian out when passing by the classroom. Dad, Mom. Chen Jian. I forced a smile. Your teacher said you fell asleep in class and disrupted the order of the class. Although Chen Qian didn't want to admit it, he still nodded. Not anymore. Chen Jian. I originally wanted to say something more. He didn't mean to criticize Chen Qian. There were many people here and the children had to save face when they were older. He just wanted to give a few more instructions. But looking at Chen Qian's serious eyes, it seemed that something was different from before. It seems that this time it's true. In the end, he just patted Chen Qian on the shoulder with a smile. Dad believes in you. Chen Qian's eyes lit up. Li Qingmai also stepped forward at this time and hugged her son. Don't be too tired from studying. Pay more attention to your health, and tell your mother what you want to eat. Chen Qian showed a bright smile. Well, I know. Don't worry about me. You should pay more attention to your health, otherwise I won't be able to study with peace of mind. Li Qingmai was stunned for a moment. This seemed to be the first time her son had said such words to her, and her eyes couldn't help but turn a little red. Mom is an adult, of course she can take care of herself. Then we'll leave first. Chen Qian nodded. Yes, okay Mom. Seeing his parents leaving, Chen Qian's eyes turned a little red. Why am I so sentimental after my rebirth? Then he shook his head and murmured to himself, the wind is a little noisy today. After saying that, he returned to his seat, picked up the book and started to recite. In the following time, no matter what class he attended, Chen Qian did not listen to it. He just focused on chewing the book in his hand and following his own plan. The only troublesome thing is that he has to compete with the teachers. It's okay to say that the other teachers basically don't care about him now. The main thing is Lao Wang. Even if there is any trouble, he will not be able to escape his eyes. In this way, under extremely difficult circumstances, Chen Qian spent 3 days to learn all the knowledge about Chinese from primary school to junior high school. The vast amount of knowledge in his mind and the dense text on the system interface made him extremely satisfied. Time flies to Saturday, the day before the Sunday holiday. As the school bell rang, Chen Qian rushed out of the classroom like the wind. This made Jiang Chun stunned. What happened to this guy today? So active after school. I have to say that Chen Qian really impressed him these past few days. He endorsed it seriously every day, as if he was crazy. Although I am memorizing primary school Chinese, but you are too serious. And what are you doing by memorizing those analyses? This is not how you sprint for the college entrance examination, right? Jiang Chun also reminded Chen Qian, don't you think there is something wrong with this learning method? Analysis of poems and prose from primary schools in the National College Entrance Examination. But Chen Qian still insisted on going his own way, and in the end he had no choice but to let it go. Hey, you have to work harder. Jiang Chun sighed as he looked in the direction Chen Qian was leaving. As Chen Qian's best friend, to be honest, when he saw Chen Qian working hard, even if he didn't agree with the way, he was still happy in his heart. Good brothers naturally want each other to become better. Others are afraid that their brothers will not live well, and that they will drive a Land Rover, but Zhang Chun thinks that he is different. My dad is rich. At the school gate, Chen Qian ignored the angry eyes of the gatekeeper and rushed out quickly on his bicycle. Why is he in such a hurry? Of course it's for learning. He has already devoured all the Chinese language in elementary school and junior high school, and mathematics is even simpler. There is not much content that needs to be memorized and recited, just those formulas. In English, that's a matter of words and grammar. What kind of grammar did you learn in elementary school and junior high school? It's really nothing. You can buy a dictionary for words and grammar questions. High school grammar already includes elementary and junior high school parts, and you can also buy analysis. I just have some trouble hearing, but it's not a big problem. Practice. As for physics, biology and chemistry, they are not taught in primary schools and are only learned in junior high schools. They are all simple contents and can be entered as quickly as mathematics. It was precisely because he realized that he was about to complete the first stage of the plan and usher in the second stage that Chen Qian was so excited. And, if we move too slowly, the bookstore next to the school will be closed. 3 minutes later, Chen Qian rushed to the door of Jinbang bookstore and waved to stop the uncle who was about to close. Uncle, sell me another book. The uncle was stunned for a moment. Oh, you are so anxious. The young man loves to study so much. Okay, I'll leave the door open for you. I have to sell it to you today. Chen Qian smiled. That's not true. I love learning, and learning loves me. The uncle nodded in agreement. Not bad, not bad. It has the same demeanor as I did back then, and looks exactly the same as when I was young. Chen Qian's expression froze. Haha uncle, you are so funny. Haha. That's what everyone says. Chen Qian's eyes twitched, and he decisively turned around and walked into the store, looking for the books he needed. Soon, he came back with a latest English dictionary and a complete guide to English grammar, 78 in total. It's really expensive. However, Chen Qian didn't say anything more. He took out the 100 yuan he had asked his family for in advance, paid the bill and left without saying another word. But as soon as he went out, he met an acquaintance. Chen Qian, is it such a coincidence? A gentle and crisp voice sounded, and Chen Qian turned his head and looked over. Lao Zhang, what a coincidence. Why are you here? The person who stopped Chen Qian was a girl. Even though she had just turned 18, her well-proportioned figure was enough to make all women jealous. Not to mention that face, with a high nose bridge, a perfect oval face, almost no flaws even without makeup, and the big eyes are just the right proportion, not exaggerated but still exuding some sweetness. Her name is Zhang Ruiyu, and she is Chen Qian's old friend. In a sense, the two of them are still half adults, because they have been in the same class since elementary school, and Zhang Ruiyu was the class monitor. Watching Chen Qian being naughty and getting into fights everywhere. We were still in the same class in junior high school, and Zhang Ruiyu was still the monitor, watching Chen Qian do nothing all day long. In high school, Chen Qian reluctantly entered the second middle school, while Zhang Ruiyu's grades were so good that it was natural for her to enter the first middle school. There are only 4 high schools in Qingli City. The names of number 1 middle school and number 2 middle school seem to be just one step apart, but the one above number 2 middle school is experimental high school, and above that is number 1 middle school. As for the worst high school, it is No. 4 middle school. There is also a third middle school, but it is a junior high school, and does not have a high school section. They hadn't seen each other for more than 2 years and nearly 3 years. Zhang Ruiyu didn't feel unfamiliar at all. She walked up to Chen Qian and looked at him, and after a long time she laughed. Those 2 shallow dimples made Chen Qian look a little stunned. You seem more handsome. Zhang Ruiyu sighed with a smile, and then said, I asked for leave this afternoon and didn't go to school. I happened to pass by here because of something, and I didn't expect to meet you. Oh. Chen Qian came to his senses. Hey, that's it. I'll leave first if I have something else to do. With that said, Chen Qian had already climbed onto his bicycle, and threw the plastic bag containing the books into the basket. Yes, that's right. Mountain bikes also come with panniers, which was one of the reasons why Chen Qian disliked them so much in his previous life. Now. It smells so good. Zhang Ruiyu was obviously stunned for a moment. She didn't expect Chen Qian to be in a hurry to leave. She could only suppress what she wanted to say in her heart, and stood there waving her hand. Then you go back early, and be careful on the road. Chen Qian nodded. Bye. After saying that, he rushed onto the road as one man in car. At the door of the bookstore, Zhang Ruiyu watched Chen Qian gradually walk away, while the man in the store sighed and shook his head. This kid doesn't have the charm I had back then. Chen Qian was riding his bike on the way home, feeling a little complicated. Time is life, knowledge, and money. How can I have time to stand there and chat? After a few minutes, he still couldn't deceive himself. Chen Qian was not a straight man. In addition to wanting to go home and study, the reason why he was anxious to leave was that he had written a love letter to Zhang Ruiyu in his previous life. But the result was like nothing. With no response, think about it, they are completely from two worlds. Although Chen Qian is now very confident about his future, there are some things that cannot be forced. Love is the strangest thing. If a person doesn't love you, or is interested in you, even if you save the world and no matter how successful you are, she won't even bother to look at you. Today, Chen Qian no longer has the 18-year-old soul in his body, and he has long since learned to calmly accept that many things go against his wishes. Sometimes I even think about it. It seems good to hide the ignorant feelings of youth in my heart, and turn them into precious memories over time. Why? Chen Qian couldn't help but sigh. Handsome guys also have a lot of worries. But the next moment, Zhou, Chen Qian stopped the car suddenly and froze on the spot. When did you send the love letter out? It seems 3 months before the college entrance examination. By express delivery. Chen Qian suddenly went crazy. It's too late. It's too late to be reborn. But when he thought about it again, he felt a little lucky. Fortunately, I ran fast, otherwise she would have rejected me in person. No wonder Lao Jiang seems to be hesitant to speak. She is preparing to pick up which pot she wants to drink. She is so cruel. Sure enough, the ancients did not deceive me. They are really full of poetry and calligraphy. This qi not only refers to mental complexion, but also luck. Chen Qian, who realized that he had escaped disaster, pedaled his bicycle very fast, and returned home in a few minutes. Mom, I'm back, Chen Qian shouted to his mother, who was busy in the kitchen, and immediately rushed into his room, seizing all the time to start studying. Li Qingmai took a look and found that her son had entered the room, feeling a little confused. Why don't you come and squeeze my hula hoop today? Forget it if you don't squeeze. Why do you rush into the room when you come back these days? But there is still no movement. Could it be? A trace of embarrassment flashed across Li Qingmai's face, and then a little relief. My son has grown up. But then she realized that this was probably because she was under too much pressure in her senior year of high school, so she was relieving the pressure. I feel very satisfied when I think that I just bought the oysters processed by the supermarket today. I can give my son a good supplement. More than half an hour later, Chen Qian walked out of the room and went to the living room to eat. Watching my parents peeling oysters for me, I felt very strange. Although I do like eating oysters, my father also likes to eat them. Why do I always let me eat them alone like my mother? But he didn't think much about it. After having a delicious meal, he returned to the room and started to memorize the book again. In his senior year of high school, he only had 1 day off per week, and the arrangements he made for himself were still very heavy. He wants to finish all the subjects from primary school to junior high school in this day. Time passed by minute, and it was past 1 o'clock in the morning before I knew it. Chen Qian breathed a long sigh of relief and stretched, with a smile on his face. The reason why he is so happy is that the current progress far exceeds his expectations. He has completed everything except English. It's only been over 3 hours. But think about it, junior high school comprehensive science and elementary school mathematics are too simple, with few formulas. As for junior high school mathematics, there are a few more formulas and the difficulty has increased, but it can still be entered very quickly. But Chen Qian also discovered a problem. Even if he memorized those comprehensive formulas and entered them into the system, he still had to rely on himself, on how to use them. As we all know, there are no exam questions that remain unchanged. Being able to see at a glance a question that can be solved by applying a certain formula is called giving points. Questions that require the use of several formulas, alternately to solve them, are called general questions. As for the questions that you can't even understand, and the formulas you can't even figure out, those are what teachers call somewhat difficult. After reading the answers, Chen Qian couldn't help but have a headache. He knows very well that the difference between ordinary students and academic masters lies in the word use, especially in science. Everyone memorizes all the formulas the same, but ordinary students just can't use them, while top students use them as easily as eating and drinking. Why? Even the top academics don't know. Just ask with 2 words, feeling. The god of logic in the dark is looking after them. This is talent. Of course, ordinary students can also improve their application ability by solving questions, but that is not called a true academic master. It is hard to say how much they can improve. It depends entirely on the person, and learning this way will be very difficult. Chen Qian temporarily put these problems behind him. With his current stable score in the bottom 10 of the class, he did not need to think about how to use it. Let's raise it to the limit first. Chen Qian put aside the books on all subjects in high school, thought for a moment, and decided to start with English first. This course is memorization, which is the fastest to improve and the biggest improvement. Memorize 4,000 words, and you will sit in command, memorize 5,000 words, and you will dominate the world. Memorize 6,000 words, and you will become an immortal. Kingly No. 2 Middle School has a small test every week, a big test every month, and another small test on Mondays when school starts. This is why Chen Qian is in a hurry to buy English materials. What? Can I go shopping even if I have a holiday on Sunday? Chen Qian had already squeezed out his time, but there was no time to waste. At the moment, he opened the English book for the first year of high school and memorized the words. In order to prepare for the exam, he planned to memorize the words in the book first, then study the grammar, and finally study the dictionary. There are nearly 100,000 words in the dictionary, which is far from memorizing them all in one day off. In fact, to put it bluntly, he also wanted his parents and Lao Wang to quickly see the progress in his grades, and see that he was working hard. This is almost a knot left in his heart from his previous life. Dong dong dong. After an unknown amount of time, there was a sudden knock on the door, and Chen Qian turned around in surprise. Please come in, son. It's already this hour, why aren't you sleeping yet? Li Qingmai said and walked in, but was stunned as soon as she opened the door. Son. Are you study? Chen Qian realized that although he had been working hard these days, he didn't express anything in particular. Maybe his parents didn't know what he was doing hiding in his room these days. But now, looking at the look of surprise and relief in his mother's eyes, all the fatigue in his body disappeared in an instant. The college entrance examination is about to take place. I want to go to a good university. Chen Qian didn't say any more rhetorical words, but he didn't expect to see his mother's eyes sparkling. Okay. My son knows that you have worked hard, and my mother is happy for you. But you should also pay attention to your health. It's past 3 o'clock now. Go to bed early. Okay, Mom. Chen Qian nodded and said, What are you, Mom? Go help me at the breakfast shop. Go to sleep. With that said, Li Qingmai left the room and gently closed the door. Chen Qian was silent for a while, then went back to the bed and lay down, turning off the light. He knew what his mother was thinking, fearing that she would not have enough money to go to college. After all, the worse the school, the more expensive the tuition. The canteen is not subsidized, and the accommodation and living expenses are more expensive. She is working hard for herself silently. That night, Chen Qian had trouble falling asleep the next day. When the 8 o'clock alarm rang, Chen Qian struggled to get up, wash up, and sat at the desk again. This sitting is a day. He made the most of this day off, and it went much smoother than he expected. It only took him most of a day to memorize all the English words in high school. The total amount was about 4,000. Although there was no breakdown, he was now a strong man who could take charge. The rest of the time was spent brushing up on grammar parsing. By 1 o'clock in the morning, he officially understood, recited and entered the entire high school grammar into the system. Who else? Chen Qian's mood was a little agitated. Thinking of the exam tomorrow, he was looking forward to it for the first time. Even if other subjects are still failing, everything is moving in a good direction, isn't it? Monday morning, Chen Qian rode a mountain bike that became more and more pleasing to his eyes, and rushed to school humming a tune. Hey, brother, now finally read the high school textbook now. Jiang Chun teased, pointing to the high school Chinese textbook in Chen Qian's hand. Chen Qian smiled slightly. Hey, I just read it casually. As you know, I was even reading primary school textbooks 2 days ago. I'm just curious. How difficult can it be to learn this thing? You're right. Jiang Chun was stunned for a moment, and the flesh on his face trembled. Why does this sound so wrong? But he didn't think too much, and said, It still feels quite difficult. Unlike Wang Wenli and Li Hao, I don't understand how their grades are so good. Maybe it's really simple for them, but I obviously work very hard. Chen Qian looked at the mobile phone in his crotch and nodded. You're right, you work too hard. I understand you very much. As for Wang Wenli and Li Hao, speaking of this, Chen Qian's lips raised in a subtle way. They must be geniuses. I think he's just a pervert, Jiang Chun said angrily. Jingle bell bell bell. The class bell rang, and Wang Jingguo strode into the classroom with a bunch of test papers in his hand. Old rule. The quiz starts on Monday, and students in the first row will pass the papers to the back. Wang Jingguo handed out the papers without any nonsense. Soon, Chen Qian got the test paper. As soon as he wrote his name, he heard Jiang Chun sighing. Damn, you're taking another exam. Do you have to torture me like this? Chen Qian smiled and shook his head, looking at his paper. He really wanted to see how difficult this high school math paper was. 10 minutes later, well, it's still very difficult. It's not at the same level as elementary school or junior high school. I still can't understand most of the questions. There is no other way. Chen Qian can only use his Chen style 3 tactics again. Choose the questions to see luck, fill in the blanks to see the front row, and write down all the answers to the big questions. But now, he no longer bothers to cheat and write explanations to gain points. Chen's 3 tactics only depend on luck. After writing down the only 3 questions, he knew well, He also randomly wrote down the multiple choice questions. Within a few minutes, the math test was over for him. Fortunately, Chen Qian was smart and put the Chinese textbook under the test paper in advance, so in the remaining time, he read the Chinese textbook and concentrated on memorizing it again. Time passed, 2 classes passed, and the math test ended in silence. In the third period, the Chinese teacher came in with papers. Chen Qian was a little disappointed. He thought it was an English test. Lao Wang is a class teacher and teaches mathematics, so it is expected that the mathematics test will be taken first, but the order of the rest of the tests is entirely up to the teachers, and does not follow the class schedule. If you don't wait for the English test, you can only take it in the afternoon. However, Chen Qian will not slack off in the Chinese language test. I think that after spending so much effort studying Chinese in elementary school and junior high school, it should have some effect. After getting the test paper, he was a little happy. It does work. He knows more questions with different pronunciations and inappropriate idioms than before, and he doesn't know if he has memorized more analysis. Regarding reading comprehension questions, he always feels that he can see the meaning of the question maker better than before, as if the difficulty of the questions has become lower. The more Chen Qian wrote, the more excited he became. Unknowingly, he filled up the entire test paper and stopped writing just before the end of the exam. It's just that the composition was a little bad, Chen Qian muttered to himself as he looked at his test paper. Gan, you actually wrote so much. Jiang Chun accidentally glanced at Chen Qian's test paper and said in surprise. He wanted to touch Chen Qian's head. Did he have a fever? Can you get high marks in Chinese if you write more? That's metaphysics, isn't it? But he still didn't do it. He couldn't dampen his brother's enthusiasm. Chen Qian didn't say much. After handing in the test papers, he rushed home, looking forward to the English test in the afternoon. He was going to ask his family for more money to buy books. After passing this Chinese language test, he found that the second stage of his study plan needed to be supplemented. After returning home, when Li Qingmai heard that her son wanted to buy books, she gave him another 200 yuan without hesitation. Chen Qian didn't say much. The money for study should be spent as it should. In the afternoon, Chen Qian came to the school early and walked into Jinbeng bookstore again. The young man is here again. The uncle immediately recognized Chen Qian and greeted him. Ha ha. Chen Qian smiled awkwardly. Yes, I'm here to buy books. The uncle nodded. Go ahead and see for yourself what you need. I have everything here. But as he spoke, he looked around and quietly raised his head. Young man, where is your little girlfriend? Why isn't she here? Chen Qian was stunned. He wanted to ask, what are you talking about? However, he didn't say anything. He wanted to just walk away and ignore it, but he also felt that it was a bit rude. In the end, he just sighed leisurely. The falling flowers are intentional, and the flowing water is ruthless. No more chatting, uncle. After saying that, Chen Qian hurried to the bookshelf inside and started picking carefully. After a while, he returned to the door with a lot of books including dictionaries, idiom dictionaries, word dictionaries, poetry collections, classical Chinese collections, perfect composition exercises, etc., and was ready to check out. Unexpectedly, 200 yuan was not enough. I still have to pay 10 bucks. He had no choice but to take out the remaining money from buying English materials and make up for it. My little treasury. A few minutes later, Chen Qian returned to class. There were not many students coming to the class at this time, but he had already taken out his Chinese book and started chewing on it. He already has a good idea of the second phase of the plan. All subjects are advanced one by one, and at the same time, I take some time every day to read English dictionaries and the various reference books I just bought. As for the third stage, that's application. Half an hour later, the students in the class arrived one by one. As the bell rang, the English teacher Chen Qian had been waiting for walked into the class with papers. She's coming, she's coming. She came with the paper. Chen Qian was a little excited, a little impatient, and he was completely different from his former self. In the past, he actually didn't like the English teacher and even hated it. The English teacher's name is Zhou Huixian. He is in his 40s and has a sharp voice that makes people feel inexplicably irritated, but there is nothing wrong with his character. The reason why Chen Qian hates him is ultimately his dislike of the subject of English. But things are different now. Lao Zhao, I love you. Soon, the exam begins. After Chen Qian got the test paper, he glanced at the entire paper immediately and couldn't suppress the smile on his lips. There is no way, except for a few rare words, he can understand it. Moreover, those unfamiliar words did not affect him very much in solving the questions. Based on the context, he could probably guess what they meant. That's it. Chen Qian smiled and shook his head. For the first time, he experienced what it means to be a pen and a dragon. 10 minutes later, Zhao Huixian went to the office and brought a tape recorder to play for listening. Although Chen Qian was mentally prepared, he didn't expect that he still didn't hear most of the conversation clearly, so he didn't know how to choose the topic. In fact, he can understand those words when they are placed in front of him, but he doesn't quite understand the correct pronunciation of those words. He also entered the phonetic symbols into the system, but he couldn't read them. Time is running out, I'm careless. There was no other way, so Chen Qian could only suffer through the listening. He had no confidence in how many points he would get in this part. After another 10 minutes, Chen Qian stopped writing. That's right, he's done it. Except for the listening section, he was very confident that he would get full marks. English composition included. English composition is different from Chinese composition. It is still easy to get full marks. I looked at the content of my composition. This grammar is advanced. This little word is so advanced. This sentence is smooth and advanced. After so many years, I have written so many replies to Li Hua, and I can finally send them out this time. Chen Qian was very satisfied with this. After checking the previous content again, he started chewing on the Chinese language book again. At this time, Jiang Chun, who was still doing the questions, noticed Chen Qian's movements. Seeing that he had stopped writing the papers, he sighed that this was the Chen Qian he was familiar with. I just felt a little disappointed for no reason, but soon, his disappointment was overwhelmed by the test paper at hand. Damn it, what a crappy word. How do I know what it means? You ask me, which one to choose? I choose E. The English exam ended quickly, and not long after, the final comprehensive science exam came. Chen Qian once again looked at the paper and sighed. Chen's style of warfare reappeared in the world, and then he read the book silently. After school in the evening, Jiang Chun said hello to Chen Qian listlessly and left. Chen Qian was not surprised by this. The exam is torture, but this guy will be fine tomorrow. The main character is one with strong ability to withstand pressure. The next day, Chen Qian rode his bicycle to school with his mother's pleased eyes on him. Li Qingmai doesn't know when her son started riding a bicycle. Usually when she comes home, her son hasn't come back yet. She left in the morning and her son hasn't gone to school yet. If it weren't for not going to work part-time today, she wouldn't have noticed that her son had accepted her feelings, which made her feel very warm. It seems that I don't care enough about my son. I need to care more about my son, and be a qualified mother. Li Qingmai thought to herself. Kingli No. 2 Middle School, Class 8, Grade 3. Chen Qian just sat down in his seat, and before he took out his book, Wang Jingguo walked into the class angrily. Chen Qian, come here. A roar frightened the class into silence. Chen Qian was also startled, and looked at Lao Wang strangely. What's going on here? Did you take gunpowder? Based on his understanding of Wang Jingguo, he knew that Lao Wang was not pretending this time, but was really very angry. But I didn't do anything. Subconsciously he glanced at Jiang Chun beside him. What have I done? Jiang Chun instantly understood his look, and shook his head. I do not know either. In desperation, Chen Qian slowly stood up, and followed Wang Jingguo into the office. Tell me, are you in love? As soon as Wang Jingguo sat down on the office chair, he immediately roared. At this moment, the teachers in each class in the office all sat upright. Puppy love. They all know Chen Qian. He's a regular at the office, but now he's fallen in love. Didn't you hear that he rejected all the girls who sent him love letters? What's going on now? For a moment, all the teachers seemed to be dealing with their own affairs, but in fact they all pricked up their ears. Chen Qian's eyes widened in surprise at this time. What's the situation? Am I in love? How come I don't know? But in an instant, an old man with a shrewd smile suddenly flashed in his mind. Damn it, uncle, stab me in the back. But didn't I say that Hua is ruthless on purpose? As for bringing this matter to school, etc., wrong. Could it be? In an instant, Chen Qian understood that he was no ordinary old man. He must be the intelligence agent of the school's coupled destruction station. Is it hidden so deeply? The school has good intentions. Wang Jingguo looked at Chen Qian's changing expression, and murmured in his heart. Strangely, based on my understanding of Chen Qian, if one is caught in puppy love, one would readily admit it instead of hiding it. Why do you have this expression now? After a while, Chen Qian cleared his mind, understood what was going on, and started to explain. Teacher Wang, misunderstanding. Really a misunderstanding? What misunderstanding? Some teachers saw you standing in front of the bookstore next to the school and talking about love. Wang Jingguo said angrily. Since you said it was a misunderstanding, then tell me what's going on. That uncle is a teacher. He's really good at bragging. Chen Qian cursed in his heart, and confirmed the identity of the uncle as an intelligence agent. But at the same time, he was secretly relieved. What he fears most is not that he is allowed to explain, but that he is not even given a chance to explain, which would be really troublesome. At the moment, he carefully explained what happened in the previous 2 days. Of course, it was impossible to tell her about her love letter, not even to death. She only said that Jiang Ruiyu had been her class monitor since she was a child, and the two of them just met by chance and chatted for a few words. After Wang Jingguo listened, He stared at Chen Qian's eyes for a while before reluctantly nodding. Okay, then the teacher has misunderstood you. But the teacher hopes you know that now is the most important time, and you can't relax at all. Love is not something you should consider right now. Chen Qian nodded quickly and breathed a sigh of relief. All the teachers in the distance also relaxed their bodies at this time, but shook their heads and their hearts. So that's it. I'm a little disappointed. But Wang Jinggo's voice changed, and his tone became more and more angry. There's one more thing. I'd like to see how you explain it. Chen Qian was stunned. There's one more thing. What's going on? What on earth have you done? Teacher Wang, what's going on? Chen Qian asked in a low voice. Teacher Zhou, Teacher Chang, come here. Wang Jingguo called Zhao Huixian, and Chinese teacher Chang Lu over. Zhao Huixian came to Chen Qian and slammed the test paper in his hand onto the desk beside him. What's the matter? Why do you have the nerve to ask? Take a good look at this paper. Don't you have anything to say? Chen Qian carefully picked up the paper, opened it and saw that it was indeed his. 128 points. Although I lost 22 points in the listening section, one got all the other questions right. The composition is also perfect. At this time, he also realized that it turned out that his progress was too great, and the teachers thought he was cheating. Hey, I thought it was a big deal. What's really scary is that my score of 20 or 30 points suddenly increased by 100 points. Haven't you passed 150 yet? However, it is understandable that at this stage, teachers no longer specifically invigilate small exams such as weekly exams, but instead let students take the exams on their own initiative. After all, there is no point in cheating. There are still 2 months until the college entrance examination. By then, whether you are a mule or a horse, you will show your true colors. Teacher Zhao, is there anything wrong with my paper? Chen Qian asked in a low voice. Zhao Huixian was furious when she heard this, but before she could speak, Wang Jingguo had already exploded. What's the problem? You're telling lies. Don't you know what's the problem? How many points do you usually get on the test? Can you get close to 130 points now? With that said, Wang Jingguo took the paper from Chen Qian's hand and spread it out in front of his eyes. Look, everything except listening is correct. Can you do this? Even the composition is perfect. Others know how to correct their mistakes when they cheat, but you're just short of getting a perfect score. Have you forgotten what you said last time? Is this what you said about studying hard? Tell me, did you use your phone to search for answers? Chen Qian looked at the furious and red-faced Wang Jingguo and sighed in his heart. This was the first time he had seen Lao Wang so angry, but perhaps it was precisely because he was very caring and responsible for his students and himself that he was so angry. Thinking of this, Chen Qian nodded firmly. Teacher Wang, I did make this paper. I did not cheat. If you want to verify it, it's very simple, isn't it? Wang Jinggo's angry chest was still rising and falling rapidly. When he heard Chen Qian insisting that he didn't cheat, he was about to get angry again, but he heard that he wanted to verify. Yes, if you want to verify it, it's very simple. Thinking about what I know about Chen Qian, it is not impossible to cheat. But if he refuses to admit it, Chen Qian is really not that kind of child. For a moment, he felt a little shaken. Zhao Huixian took over the conversation at this time and took the paper. Okay, didn't you say you want to verify it? Come on, read this passage to me. Chen Qian looked at the string of English that teacher Zhao pointed at and suddenly felt embarrassed. This.that.adasha. Chen Qian struggled to read. In addition to common vocabulary, several words in one sentence were pronounced incorrectly, and some words could not even be read at all. Zhao Huixian looked as if this was indeed the case. The result is already obvious. Now you still say you didn't cheat. Chen Qian glanced at her, then at Lao Wang, who was about to explode again, and at Lao Chang who was waiting aside, and finally nodded firmly. I certainly didn't cheat. This sentence means. Chen Qian said the meaning of this sentence smoothly. Lao Wang and the others were stunned. Seeing this, Chen Qian simply took the test paper and started filling in the blanks. With his fingers on the test paper, he said the Chinese meaning in a leisurely manner. Even why I chose this answer and what the grammar is, are all explained. After a few minutes, Chen Qian finished explaining all the subsequent reading comprehension, and then slowly put down the paper. There was silence in the office. Lao Wang was stunned, Lao Zhao's eyes widened, and Lao Chang also covered his mouth. This.what is going on? Wang Jingguo looked at Zhao Huixian cautiously. Zhao Huixian's voice was stumbling. He seems to be serious. He really didn't cheat. Chang Lu, the youngest among the teachers, also exclaimed at this time. You didn't cheat on the Chinese language paper? She looked at Chen Qian and asked, did you take the test yourself? Chen Qian was a little helpless. Teachers, I really took the exam myself, and I really didn't cheat. Suddenly, he clearly saw Lao Wang's eyes gradually getting bigger, and he took a deep breath, His voice was particularly gentle. It's been a ghost. It's only been a week. How could your English have improved so much? When it comes to improving his Chinese proficiency, he can still understand that even if he didn't cheat, it might be due to good luck. But in English, if he doesn't know it, it will be like earthworms crawling and he can't even understand it. Can you tell me what's going on? Why did it improve so much all of a sudden? Wang Jingguo looked at Chen Qian and whispered softly. Chen Qian got goosebumps inexplicably. He was really not used to Lao Wang being so gentle. You know, Lao Wang has never been so gentle even to the top students in the class. I memorized all the high school English words and the grammar and understood it, so I can take the exam naturally. Hiss. Lao Wang's eyes got bigger, as if he wanted to say something, but he was too excited to say anything. A week, all the words and grammar. It took a long time before Lao Wang squeezed out such a sentence from his throat. Chen Qian nodded again. Good. Wang Jingguo suddenly slapped his thigh and stood up, then burst into laughter. Okay, great. Ha 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 ha. I knew you could do it. Ha 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 ha. Chen Qian looked at Lao Wang, who was so happy and smiled sincerely. At this time, Zhou Huixian still looked like she was shaking her head in surprise, but she no longer questioned Chen Qian. But then she seemed to think of something, her eyes suddenly condensed, and her aura seemed to lead a group of people into a group fight, etc. Everyone looked at her in surprise. Zhou Huixian's eyes at this time were like a furious lion, and she slapped her hand on the table. Boom. You have memorized all the vocabulary and grammar. Why did you lose so many points in the listening section? Don't you know I almost got full marks? Isn't the listening question difficult? It's not as difficult as the later ones. If you don't give me an explanation today, I'll tell you. I'll keep an eye on you from now on. In her eyes, Chen Qian is now a treasure. In the past, they were disappointed with Chen Qian because Chen Qian himself was unwilling to learn. Now that he is willing to learn, of course he must teach him well. And Chen Qian was not only willing to learn, but he didn't expect to be so smart. If you teach this well, you will gain both fame and fortune. Well, Chen Qian scratched his head and felt very embarrassed. I just memorized it and didn't care how to read it, so he was embarrassed to say that he didn't even know the phonetic symbols. He blamed himself for not listening carefully to the first English class in elementary school and not understanding the phonetic symbols later. Nothing happened after that, and I never took an English class again, until now. No. Zhou Huixian looked very angry. Don't leave even after school. Come to my office, and I will give you extra lessons. Chen Qian's eyes lit up when he heard this. Is there such a good thing? Teacher Zhou has won my heart deeply. But before he could say anything, Wang Jingguo on the side also slammed the table. Boom, etc. Chen Qian, won't you explain it to me? You can improve your English so much. But why did you only get 48 points on the math test this time? 48 points. Chen Qian was stunned. It seemed that he was lucky this time. He probably got a lot of the 3 questions right, and also got a lot of multiple choice questions right, but of course he didn't dare to say what was in his heart. Looking at Lao Wang, who was getting increasingly irritable again, he could only smile sheepishly. Well, Teacher Wang, time is a bit tight, but I am working hard now. I will definitely catch up, don't worry. But who knew that Wang Jingguo was not satisfied with his answer, and just waved his hand. Okay, don't talk so much. Don't leave after school. I'll make up your math for you too. Chen Qian's eyes brightened even more. What a double happiness. Another free WOOL.HEM.FRE tutoring. At this time, Chang Lu also stood up. You also got a lot of marks that you shouldn't lose in this Chinese language test. Although it is indeed improved compared to before, it is not enough. School is over. You know it. Before Chen Qian had time to nod, the teacher from Yuan, who was in charge of the 3rd comprehensive subject, suddenly stood up and strode over. They have endured this for a long time. What happened to your physics exam this time? And biology. You have such a good memory. Can chemistry be underestimated? Can it be? After school, Chen Qian stared blankly at the teachers surrounding him, with their excited expressions and ever-changing expressions, as if he owed them a lot of money. But my heart feels warm. After a while, Chen Qian, sweating profusely, finished dealing with all the teachers, and left the office with Lao Wang's gentle instructions. Hey, this kid ha ha ha. Wang Jingguo watched Chen Qian leave, but he couldn't help but feel happy. He just wanted to laugh and be happy, but he couldn't hold it back no matter what. Zhou Huixian and Chang Lu looked at each other and laughed helplessly. You are almost done. I'm warning you, don't irritate us anymore. Zhou Huixian said sourly. Yes, she was a little sour. If Chen Qian really gets up, is admitted to a good university, and transforms from a poor student in just 2 months, with Wang Jingguo as the class teacher, then does it need to be said? There are so many benefits. It can be said that it is easy to be awarded senior professional titles. In all her years of teaching, she has never seen such an exaggerated student. Memorizing all the vocabulary and grammar in high school in 1 week is incredible. Of course, ridicule is ridicule, and everyone knows in their hearts that Wang Jinggo's seriousness and responsibility towards students is not out of any personal gain, but really for the good of the students perhaps. It is this kind of person who can bring out students like Chen Qian. Wang Jingguo glanced at Zhou Huixian, and didn't take her words to heart at all. Why? I'm just happy. My students have worked hard and their grades have improved. How can I not be happy? Ha 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 ha. I can still jump. Hey, jump. However, he didn't really jump up. Instead, he instantly stopped smiling and his expression became very serious, because Chen Qian made a comeback. Is there anything else? Wang Jingguo asked. Chen Qian's goosebumps rose again. He was still not used to such a gentle Lao Wang. Teacher Wang, I want to discuss this with you, because I have made a study plan for myself. Can I follow my plan? That is to say, I want to learn my own stuff during class. Wang Jingguo instinctively wanted to refuse, but thinking about Chen Qian's specialness, he also thought that the content in the textbook had been studied as early as the end of the second year of high school, and now he was just reviewing and answering questions. Finally, he pondered for a while and agreed. It's okay, but I will always monitor your learning progress. Once you don't make progress, you can no longer make your own decisions. Chen Qian naturally nodded quickly. No problem. Don't worry, old Wang. I'll go back first. You go ahead. Wang Jingguo waved his hand, and then suddenly froze. Wait, what did you call me? Broken. Chen Qian also realized that he had spilled the beans, but he still calmly showed doubts in his eyes. Ah, what? I called you Teacher Wang. What's wrong? Is that so? Wang Jingguo was a little confused. He didn't hear clearly just now, but looking at Chen Qian's sincere eyes, he thought about it and realized that he probably heard it wrong.
Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.